Oh no, a Kendrick Lamar song on a worst of list? Is your boy coming for the king's head? Nah, not really. It's just from one of the guest rappers who says this.
I kept my mouth closed and I ain't never leave no witness. DOA up on the scene. Tell him Young Thread did it, nigga.
Well, no, don't tell him that you did it. Wouldn't that defeat the whole purpose of keeping your mouth closed and not leaving witnesses?
DOA up on the scene. Tell him Young Thread did it, nigga.
Well, I guess someone's got a thing for having their work acknowledged. Oh man, I got away clean with that murder. The cops are gonna be scratching their heads for years. And I'll never get any acknowledgement for my brilliant handiwork. God damn it. And it was really crafty too, but no one's gonna know it was me. Well, maybe if I tell someone else to tell the cops. I mean, otherwise I'll never be acknowledged for my incredible plan. Huh. So this is why the Riddler leaves clues at the scene of the crime.
They burning the country down with their progressiveness. It started with changing what gender is.
You know, beyond the obvious political grifting for an audience that just wants their talking points uncritically reflected back at them, my problem with the guy is just how blatantly wrong he is about shit. Like, look, we can all have our differences, but if you're just incorrect about something, that's not a difference of opinion. That's just you not willing to accept facts when they don't suit your narrative. Like, for example, this song he made about Trump's failed assassination attempt, where he says this.
Thank God the left can't aim.
But the shooter was found out to be a registered Republican. So that joke doesn't make any sense.
Thank God the right don't riot.
Fucking January 6th, dude. This is what's so frustrating about these conversations. I keep wasting my time with this silly notion of, actually looking up the specifics of shit so I can make an informed decision, when it's like, why bother when guys like this clearly aren't doing the same?
This rap shit divided by panty lines. Which side are you on? Yeah, transgender rights, where do I stand? Oh.
I don't actually enjoy that a lot of these lists end up feeling super political. But honestly, like with the last entry, I try to keep it focused to where it seems like the misconceptions about the issues are. Like with Eminem here, you'd think because he's a controversial rapper, it's gonna go a certain way, but he actually starts off surprisingly progressive.
I'm all for him, I really am pro. Nah, for real.
But it's here where the confusion sets in.
But in a chorus, would you what? Would I have? No.
Yeah, that's the thing. No one's asking you to have sex with a trans person. It's just about supporting them through the specific things that trans folks need for their mental well-being, usually healthcare-wise.
Call me a transphobe, really? Cause I just can't go and try and pretend you was never a man, though. Sorry.
So when it comes to stuff like this, I think it's just about considering the perspective of the person in the situation. Because to the person who is trans, they already felt like the gender they naturally felt like before they were pushed to conform to one. So to you, when you see them, you might think it's just someone pretending to be something they're not, but to them, it's having the choice to be what they felt they were all along.
And this ain't even a diss, trans people. My dick just won't expand. And the kids won't make it stand.
Yeah, I think you're conflating the idea of general support for trans people with the idea of being willing to have sex with them. But no one's asking you to do that to be an ally. I think this mentality is just a holdover from a time when the only thought most straight guys gave to trans women was this imagined scenario of, oh, I met a hot chick at a bar, but it turns out she's got a dick and she's trying to trick me into being gay. But honestly, that just calls to a general problem that comes along with the dating scene where you meet someone and try to smash before you even really get to know them. Because hey, you might be trying to hit on a girl that wants kids and you don't, and at some point that's going to be a deal breaker if you're not compatible on that level. It doesn't make you a bad person if they want kids and that's not what you're into, just as much as if someone's trans and that's not what you're into. But that said, you can still be all for legislation that makes things easier for parents to take care of their kids, just as much as you can be all for trans people getting the health care they need without having sex with them. You can be accepting of gay people and not have to kiss one, right? It's literally the same thing.
But if I say it will, it get me canceled. Yep, my music get banned. Or can it withstand?
Okay, you've been a controversial rapper since you first started rapping, and over 3 decades later, it hasn't slowed down your record sales once, so I don't know where all this fear over cancel culture for you is even coming from.
I gotta participate for us to coexist, damn. I gotta memorize pronouns of a cis man.
Well, a cis man is someone who isn't trans, so that would be the type of gender association you're used to. Guys, I think he's just so confused about the topic, he doesn't even know how to verbalize what it is he's angry at. Because for him to say this,
I gotta memorize pronouns of a cis man.
I feel like he just doesn't know what he's talking about. Because a cis man, that's just he, him. Dude, well, what's there to memorize? What that's essentially saying is, well, what, I have to remember that a man is called he? Honestly, I don't even think he knows what cis means. I think the old man just heard a queer person say the word cissexual and just went, oh God, there's another sexuality I gotta be aware of? Just to start off giving Drake some credit here. If someone hauls off and calls you a kid diddler in the biggest song of the year, you gotta say something back to address it. The problem is, the responses he gave couldn't have made him sound any more guilty.
Only fucking with Whitney's, not Millie Bobby Brown's. I'd never look twice at no teenager.
Oh no, dude, don't specifically bring up the girl whom there's video proof of what seems like her accidentally confessing to the awkwardly intimate relationship you guys have.
What advice does he give you? Like, what does he say? About boys. He helps me.
What?
Yeah. He's great. He's wonderful. I love him.
What's his advice with boys?
You know, that stays in the text messages.
And the real issue is he brings up the accusation at least 2 more times.
If I was fucking young girls, I promise I'd have been arrested. I'm way too famous for the shit you just suggested.
Each time less convincing than the last.
This Epstein angle was the shit I expected. TikTok videos you collected and dissected.
Yeah, how the hell are you gonna say you're too famous to get caught up in a child trafficking ring, then mention Epstein, the guy whose whole thing was serving children to celebrities that were rich enough to be above the law? And what especially annoys me here is that each denial of the accusations sounds so disconnected from the other, it definitely gives me vibes that he got at least 3 ghostwriters on call to pitch responses to Kendrick's allegations, and none of the lines they pitched were strong enough on their own, so he just used all of them.
Drake is not a name that you gon' see on no sex offender list. Easy does it. You mention an A minor, but niggas gotta be sharp.
Oh my god, dude, stop! This is one of the key reasons this response was taken so poorly. Not just that he denied it, but that the rhetoric he used was so weak to do so, it came off as someone who didn't actually have a leg to stand on. As I've said before, rap battles are about controlling perception. So for him to have felt the need to address one accusation 3 times, and for none of that to have felt convincing, yeah, that losing strategy is what made him look like the guy who's clearly been backed into a corner. But before we get to number 1, I just want to give a quick shout out to all my patrons who got to see this and all my other content first. And they then got to go to the Rap Critic Discord to chat with me and fellow fans about it. And they also got to join me for music nights, freestyle video game nights, private streams, new music. Look, I'm sorry, I hate to brag, but they got their own digital clubhouse going on over there. I'm just letting you know so you're not missing out anymore, you know what I mean? So join at the $2 level or get the perks at the higher levels, get with it, act like you want it, and I'll see you on the other side of the Patreon wall. All right, now it's time to talk about the absolute worst lyric of the year. And of course, it's still Drake. Hey, I'm sorry, but this final lyric truly deserved its own specific segment. And before I get into it, look, I know that if you're a Drake fan, you're pretty tired of Drake being the whipping boy of the internet at this point. And it could be said that, at one point when Drake was the man with the Midas touch, it was oppressive to keep hearing him as the status quo on radio and playlists. And in the same way, it's probably annoying now for you to hear every corner of the internet dunking on him. It's the status quo thing to do now, and it can feel like a cheap shot to just pile onto the losing team. That said, when the mainstream opinion has got a point, they've got a fucking point. And while oftentimes opinion spins a certain way because of the effect of the public getting caught up in the emotional sway that leads them one way or the other, the fact remains, sometimes the mainstream opinion was reached because of a genuine base level comprehension of the facts of what the fuck just happened. Because yes, Kendrick had a scorching back-to-back response with Meet the Grams and Not Like Us, but I genuinely believe that's not what ultimately decided the battle. Nah, it was Drake's failure to make an adequate response that put the nail in the coffin. Because if Drake had taken this shit seriously and actually schemed to make a calculated killer response, we'd be having a more measured conversation about who won. But no, because in addition to the awful lines I previously mentioned of him trying to skirt around the pedo accusations, this was his gambit to try to flip the conversation to his advantage.
My mom came over today and I was like, mother, wait a second. That's that one record where you say you got molested.
That was single-handedly the most contrived way to try and force a segue into a topic I've ever heard in my life. Because for those who don't know, the song he's referencing is Kendrick Lamar's Mother I Sober, in which Kendrick discusses sexual abuse that's gone on in his family. But it's like, you really expect me to believe you were at your crib like, oh man, so I was in the middle of writing my response to Kendrick, but then my mother came over and I started talking to her and I said, hey mother, Mother I as in Mother I Sober? It's the missing link to the whole equation. Like, first off, what kind of Black Dynamite abstract word association shit is this?
What's the theme from the Pink Panther? Dead end, dead end, dead end, dead end. Now rewind that and slow it down. Dead end, dead end, dead end, dead end. And when it ain't dead, he lives in a colony. And another word for colony is a clan, which is short for Ku Klux Klan. Right.
Second, who the fuck refers to their mom as mother when they're talking to them? What are you, a 5-year-old British child? Mother, the boys at school are making fun of me. And third, the point he's awkwardly trying to pivot to is the idea that in the Mother I Sober song, since it's a song that deals with sexual assault, that was Drake's excuse to try and go, oh, so that's the real reason you're so concerned with rape, because you were molested yourself, so you're just traumatized and lashing out. Making fun of a sexual assault survivor makes you look like a good guy.
That's that one record where you say you got molested.
Problem is, he doesn't say that he was molested on that song. He says it happened to other family members. So to fuck up a detail that obvious just shows on his face how desperate you were to try to make a connection that would give you any excuse to bow out of the battle.
This about to get so depressing. This is trauma from your own confessions. That's why these pedophile raps and shit you so obsessed with. It's so excessive. They acting like it's so aggressive. But you just never known affection. I don't want to dish you anymore. This really got me second guessing.
Like, oh yeah, the reason you wanted to bow out is you just didn't want to trigger his PTSD anymore. And totally has nothing to do with him absolutely wiping the floor with your reputation.
Sure, Jan.
And this is why his response failed. You can't have missteps like this, and you're going to pay for it when you do. Especially if you're going to use that cheap volley as the way to step back from the battle and act like you're saving face. No one bought that shit for a second. That's what made the diss track so pitiful. And you know it landed badly because it was so poorly received, Kendrick didn't even feel the need to make another response to it afterwards. It was so clear that he dropped the ball, what else was there even to say?
I give a fuck about your streaming data. You could drop 100 more records, I'll see you later.
Oh yeah, like Drake wasn't the one who started this whole back-to-back drops by releasing 2 songs in a row first. This is what really makes it look like a backpedaling record. The way he deliberately feels like he's backing away from the type of tactics he himself was just using. Also, kinda ironic to hear him say he doesn't give a fuck about streaming data now that he's specifically suing UMG over claims of inflating Kendrick's sales. Yeah, you care about sales so little that you got your fucking lawyers involved. And here's my thing, it's not like Drake didn't get some shots off at Kendrick. But unfortunately, most people scrutinizing a diss track are gonna be thinking about how the song hits them as a whole. And with lines like this as part of your ammo, yeah, you bet the public's gonna feel like your shit just backfired. Or more accurately, like your weapons just fucking fell apart mid-firing. But hell, it didn't have to end this way. If Drake had skipped the long lyrical screed and instead tried to actually make a pop hit out of it, where there's a couple digs at Kendrick, but then he had a big, fun, stupid hook to compete with his, maybe he could have pulled it out, or at least engineered enough of a stalemate to argue that he stood his ground. But nah, he fucking crashed out hard, and the whole world saw it in real time, and that shit was a goddamn shame. Well, that's the episode. Leave a like if you like because it helps, comment if you have something to say because it helps even more, and hit the subscribe button because that's what helps the most. And if you want to make requests, of course, that's Ko-fi.com/rapcritic, and then Patreon.com/rapcritic to get all my content early and access the Patreon Discord. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next year. Peace.